A great recent movie from 2019 is Sound of Metal. Let me tell you why I think this movie is quite good, even better than it's been reviewed heretofore, coming up next. You know, movies are supposedly empathy machines, and they generate empathy for people we don't know very well. And I have to admit, I don't know any deaf people, and I myself have no problem with hearing. And so this movie, to me, one reason it's great, it simulates what it's like, perhaps, to lose one's hearing, to be deaf, and to try to wrestle with that horrible, or in the case of the movie, it's horrible situation. And this movie, for me, drums up a lot of compassion, maybe some empathy for deaf people or people who do not have their hearing or have lost their hearing. The movie tries to simulate what it's like to be Ruben, a heavy metal drummer who's going around touring with his girlfriend who is in his band as well. And all of a sudden one day, he loses 70-some% of his hearing. He can't really make out words. He gets very frustrated and doesn't know what to do. He's an impatient person and wants to fix problems. And yet he can't, because you can't get your hearing back once this sort of thing happens to you. So we hear with Ruben what it's like for him to lose his hearing. The movie simulates that with its sound effects and its oral atmosphere.
It's probably a 2 out of 10 in terms of his hearing.
Ruben goes to a home. His girlfriend leaves him there. He's frustrated because the home has all deaf people. They're using sign language. He doesn't know how to do that. And his task there is to learn to be deaf. He is cut off from the rest of the world. Very frustrating for this young man. Here, Ruben gains some friends, and he does start to learn to be deaf, quote unquote. But one thing he wants to do, and has wanted to do even before he shows up to the home, is to get implants. It's the first thing he's really told. There's a fix for deafness, or mostly deafness, which is implants that help you hear, not sort of, but not as you did. Now here's where spoilers have to come in. So I'll only say go watch this movie. It's on Amazon Prime. It's really, really well done. And I appreciate basically everything about it, including Riz Ahmed's performance. He really captures this character well. I don't think anybody else could do this role. So Riz Ahmed ought to be commended for this, because I don't see anybody inhabiting a role where someone is so frustrated, all this pent-up rage and emotion, showing his impatience, and yet on screen he's got to be still, but is really impatient and fidgety. It just is a great, great acting performance here. So now here come the spoilers. As you know, later in the movie, if you've seen it, Ruben goes to get an implants, and he leaves the house and forsakes it. So one of the key questions this movie brings up, and it really does a great job at this, should you use modern technology to fix problems, particularly problems with the body, or should you learn to live with losses of, say, hearing or smelling or anything like that, any sensation, also, you know, losing a limb or something like that? What should you be content with, or what should you try to fix via modern technology? The movie openly asks this question, particularly of deafness and the implant question. Ruben gets the implants, and we supposedly get to hear what it's like to have implants, and of course for Ruben, wanting to fix everything, totally frustrating, because it's not an instant fix. He's got to learn to live with the implants and the weird sounds, and hopefully his brain will adapt to the weird sounds, the metallic-y, sort of bad radio chatter sounds that these implants make.
How about now? How's that? Oh, it's better. Get on it.
Now let's analyze the movie a little bit. The movie's main topic seems to be whether Ruben should live with being deaf or mostly deaf, or should he get implants and try to restore his old life. I do think there's another main problem, maybe the main problem. Ruben can't sit still in silence. So deafness forces him to be silent or to hear silence. And that is endlessly frustrating because, as the opening shot and other things tell us, he is a heavy metal drummer who loves to pound. It helps him get rid of his aggression or deal with his aggression to pound the drums. He is a drummer by trade, and so to lose that is inherently frustrating. The opening shot has him sitting still and waiting for cues, and then he can go pound the drums, but he needs to be able to sit in silence and not have the opportunity to pound the drums. That's what Joe, who runs the deaf house, tries to teach him. Joe tells Ruben, go sit in a room by yourself at 5 a.m., sit still. If you can't sit still, just free write until you can finally sit still.
I've got a little assignment for you, okay? You get up early, right? pretty early, yeah.
And I'll provide a room for you.
What for?
And there's nothing that needs to be accomplished in this room. All I want you to do is just sit.
Well, we see Ruben be endlessly frustrated and pound the table just like he pounds the drums. By the end of the movie, the last shot contrasts with the first shot. It also contrasts with a shot in the middle of the movie where Ruben can't sit still. In the end, Ruben takes off his implants. We hear nothing. He hears nothing. And he sits silently, seemingly happily, or maybe this is his moment of revelation, doing what Joe said to do, which is to find the kingdom of God. That's Joe's words, in stillness. Is Ruben finding that in the end?
Because you're right, Ruben. The world does keep moving. It can be a damn cruel place. But for me, those moments of stillness, that place, that's the kingdom of God.
You could say yes, and certainly this is one of societal's main problems as technology, particularly smartphones, and all the white noise problems we have these days, from noise in restaurants and airports. We seem to want to have noise and have noise around everywhere. This has been, by the way, an American cultural diagnosis from a long time, the white noise scenario. There's even a novel about it by Don DeLillo called White Noise. Can we sit in silence? Can we sit free and easy without technology, just listening to nothing? I think, and I'm speaking for myself, the answer is definitely no. I think the movie does a fantastic job of bringing that up, not only showing us, and well, actually making us hear what it's like to be deaf or to have implants, but to actually sit as viewers with Ruben and be still with him. That's, the final shot. It lasts a minute and there's no sound. Is trying to get us to that point of silence. And I personally find it frustrating. As a viewer, I am a little annoyed at the ending, and I have to ask why, and here's where I think the movie is brilliant. The movie tells me that I need a fix, a story fix. I want to know whether Ruben goes back to Lou. Does he go back to Joe? Does he do something else? Is he okay with his hearing loss, or is he going to put his implants in? I want to know these things. A typical script would give them to me. In fact, this is the kind of movie where in Hollywood they would have had Ruben go back and fall in love with the school teacher and accept his place in Joe's house or something like that. It would be some kind of sentimental ending. The movie does not end that way. It does not give me the fix that I want. I'm using that word fix in two ways. One, Ruben wants to fix his problems quickly and move on. That's what movies do to us, like common, ordinary movies. They give us fixes to script problems, story problems, tensions in the movie, and they satisfy us in the end if they're happy or if they're a comedy. Ruben also was an addict, and he's 4 years sober, but he's having a hard time, or at least for a while, having a hard time staying sober, so he turns to cigarettes. He wants a fix. And of course, addicts need fixes, as our language has it. Well, I'm a story addict, and I like fixes to my stories, so the ending leaves me in suspense. Now, it's saying that Ruben is sitting still in his kingdom of God, or maybe he is, but I don't feel like I am. And so the movie is challenging me, I think, to accept Joe's premise that we need to learn to sit still and find stillness. Whether you accept that or not, that's fine. I just find that fascinating. The movie's trying to do to us what Ruben is trying to achieve in the movie, or what Joe wants Ruben to achieve in the movie. I think this movie is really well filmed. I think the script is written so that it makes sense with its topics. So for all those reasons, I think this movie's great, plus Riz Ahmed, as I said. What do you think of Sound of Metal? What do you think about this analysis? Let us know in the comments. Please subscribe to the channel, and have a great day.